in the end, I think the world is actually pre-Christian, not ex-Christian. I think that's important to say, that ultimately the world will all come under the rule of Christ. The Bible teaches that very clearly. So I don't mean that the world used to be Christian top to bottom and is now not Christian top to bottom at all. In many ways, the accent for me on the word ex-Christian is on the word Christian rather than the word ex. So I'm not saying we have left Christianity behind and that's either a good or a bad thing. What I'm saying is the world is ex-Christian, as in that is the belief system and the worldview we've tried to leave behind, as opposed to ex-Confucian or ex-animist or ex-polytheist or Hindu or ex-Muslim. And if you go to a society that is, say, ex-Muslim or ex-animist, you will find that the values and the structures are completely different from what they are in the post-Christian West. And so I think it's fair to say that we are post-Christendom, in the sense that we no longer live in a world where the Pope is the most powerful man or the church is, united, for at least formally, under one person, or that rulers and emperors feel like they owe allegiance to God himself and as a result have to think about the whole of the life in a different way. We no longer live in that world. And Christianity is not assumed. And in fact, in many parts of the West, it's very problematic for people, and even me. You'd wrestle with doubts that people wouldn't have had 500 years ago. So I think in that sense, it's fair to say we are ex-Christendom, but I think we're not ex-Christian in the sense there are no Christians. And it's also, by the way, isn't true that everyone was a Christian 1,000 years ago. I don't think that either. But I think what I mean by it is that the formal structures and shapes of a Christian-influenced society are things that we are consciously either abandoning or trying to move beyond. But the legacy of that Christian thought is still profoundly shaping the way we think about all manner of things. And as I was mentioning in the discussion about self-evident and the Declaration, it's difficult for us to extricate those convictions from their Christian roots. And so there are lots of things we do now in the modern world that are still shaped by a Christian understanding of the person or the nation or the way the world is made, that it's very difficult to move beyond, even if we claim to be completely atheistic. The world is full of atheists who hold to all sorts of very Christian beliefs. And that's what I mean by ex-Christian. It's like that's the thing we've tried to leave behind, but actually it's kind of still here. And the metaphor I use in the book is to say we are post-Christian in the sense that we are post-industrial. And when people say, oh, it's a post-industrial development in a city or whatever, what they mean is there's now urban gardens. There used to be a factory with a big chimney, and now it's been turned into flats. Or apartments, you'd say, I guess. What they don't mean is industrialization doesn't have any power anymore. They're saying, no, really what happens is because industrialization is so secure, you can now go vegan and get wood-burning stoves without worrying that you're going to run out of calories or heat. And in the same way, we are post-Christian. These convictions about human dignity are secure. Humility, compassion, charity, love. All you need is love, that kind of thing. We know that now, so we don't really need Christianity to sustain it, and we can move on into something else. And of course, the question is, like with industrialization and Christianity, but what if that legacy eventually expires? What if, after a while, you run out of calories, heat, compassion, charity, love? Does your framework actually give you enough to continue to believe it in spite of some of the forces that are pressing in on you? So that's the kind of the challenge I'm trying to raise with that language of post-Christian. I hope it's a helpful way of thinking about it. I wouldn't want anyone to think it meant Christianity's dead, long live secularism. I don't think that's right, but I think even secularism is a very post-Christian development, and ultimately the world will become Christian under the lordship of Christ, which is a day I hope for.